Hey guys, and thanks for joining me again. Well, this week I thought I'd do a video on a new guitar project which I'm about to start on. And as you can see, I've got a Fender Stratocaster here and a 12-string Fender Stratocaster actually, which I bought recently from a buyer in Tokyo in Japan and got it shipped into the country. And this is a really lovely and interesting guitar actually, and I thought what I'd do before I start my project on it is actually give a little bit of a rundown of this guitar. So this is a 1992 guitar, and this came out of the FijiGen factory. They made the 12-string Stratocasters in the FijiGen factory from, I believe, 1988 to I think 92. This is one of the later models, and there's actually a few differences from the earlier 88s and 89s, which had a different bridge. This is definitely an update from that, and it's actually a sleeker looking bridge. The earlier bridge looked like some kind of orthodontic kind of nightmare strapped on the back of this, and this is actually quite sleek and also gives individual adjustment for all the 12 strings, which is really nice. So a few other things on the guitar. Well, the pickups here are Texas specials in this, and that's not unusual for Japanese guitars of this era. A lot of them came out with Texas specials, and I believe that's actually original out of the factory for a lot of them. So one of the first things that really struck me about this guitar when I unpacked it from its box is how clean it is actually. It's in very good condition considering it's a 25-year-old guitar, and the only mark that I can even really see on it is here, where I'm presuming someone's actually sort of used their strumming technique and kind of hit the top here regularly and taken a bit of the finish off. But apart from that, it's absolutely fantastic condition, so I was really impressed with that. So the second thing that actually struck me about this guitar is that the action is actually pretty high at the moment, and the intonation is all over the place. And the action height is actually on a 12-string, really important, even more than a 6-string, I guess, because it actually makes it even harder to kind of get the notes to ring out without muffling them. So one of the other things about this guitar that really struck me is it's actually also very light. This is actually 6/8, which is actually light for a 6-string Strat. So with 12-string with a few more tuners and more strings and a kind of slightly more complicated bridge, it's actually a very light guitar. So even though this guitar isn't playing particularly well at the moment, I thought it was kind of pretty important to kind of have it for a couple of weeks, plug it in and kind of go through a whole lot of different thoughts about what I was kind of feeling about the guitar and how I'd like to update it and get it playing really, really well and sounding fantastic. So the first thing I'm going to do, and one of the first choices I've made, is to actually replace these Texas Special pickups. And just the sound of them, they kind of don't have a lot of charisma for my ears. And also the bridge pickup here is about, I think it's 710, and these are mid-6s, and I think maybe I'm going to go for something that's actually a little lower output and something a bit more sort of vintage and 50s. So I've actually chosen to buy some pickups from a boutique pickup maker. Goes under the name Slider Pickups out of Sydney, and he does some very nice vintage 59 pickups, and yeah, going to put those in there. They're going to be much more chimey and a bit sort of airy and open. So as I said, not particularly crazy about these Texas Special pickups. Now the other thing I'm going to do too is actually replace all the wiring, and again I've got another Emerson wiring system here. And this is the 250K 5-way with the blender option. So what that actually does is it gives you a master tone, and your other tone volume becomes a blender. So it gives you a whole lot more options sound-wise between blending the pickup. So I think with a 12-string and some beautiful hand-wound vintage 59 pickups, with an output sort of, I think the bridge is going to be about 6, and then these ones around about 5.5. It'll start to get a bit more chimey. Now, the other thing I'm going to do too, actually, is replace these strings. These are the ones obviously that came with the guitar, but I'm going to get it set up with pyramid 12-string nickel strings. So I think that's kind of really important. I do put those strings on my Rickenbacker guitars, and I particularly like the tone of those. So the setup is going to utilize those. So one of the other things I'm going to do on this guitar is actually get a new nut installed on this one and cut up. I've decided to use a Tusk XL nut on this guitar, and then it's going to go into the shop for its setup and fret dress. And there's plenty of fret life in this. In fact, I'd say it hasn't really been played a lot, this guitar, by the feel of it. It just feels in very, very, very good condition. I wouldn't call it a case queen, but it's certainly in very good nick, and there's certainly plenty of life in these frets for a good fret dressing. So I think with all that combination, it's going to come out to be a really fantastic guitar. There you have it, a Stratocaster 12 string. Thanks again for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again on another video. And if you've got any comments on Fender Stratocaster 12 strings, please leave them in the comments section, and I'll see you soon.